Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, August 15th, 2017. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, joined as always on Tuesdays by Duane Long. We're coming to you a little bit late today because it's the first day of school here for my kids, and I'm running late, but Duane was on time. Duane, how are you this fine fall morning? Well, it's summer still, but
I'm getting closer to football season, so every day I wake up, I got a smile on my face.
Joe Burrow. There's always been a little rumbling that Joe Burrow is a heck of a quarterback. The more chances he seems to get in practice, that's gone well. All the talk since the quarterbacks were released to the media recently has been about who will be the backup, and that's not been officially named. But there's some real interesting stuff saying Burrow is doing well. What's your vibe on the quarterback situation? Are you happy with it? Give me your pecking order.
Well, I'm very happy with how it's being handled. I love that Urban Meyer is not naming a backup. That's just not in the best interest of this football team to have name the backup. We're going to lose one of them, sure as I'm sitting here, if we name a backup. I don't think that happens unless we have a long-term injury. I think we could see both of these guys playing. I would alternate them. This game, one comes in, next game, the other one comes in. And maybe play both of them anyway, but who comes in first would be, an alternating thing. As far as pecking order is concerned, you know what? I don't really know. I would say Burrow based on the fact that he's got experience and he's got, he's a better runner. So, I think that is a difference. The only thing is, and this remains to be seen, Dan, is Wilson in complete control of this offense like Tom Herman was. Urban Meyer loves the +1, which is quarterback running the football a lot. I mean, he's had, Tim Tebow ran for 1,000 yards. J.T. Barrett nearly did his redshirt freshman year. He was over 900 yards. He loves to run the quarterback. Kevin Wilson does not. So I think that's going to play a role. If he is going to be in real charge of the offense, he could want the bigger arm kid. And we saw in the spring that Haskins can really throw the football. He's as good as we've seen here in, who knows how long, how far we got to go back to find a better pure passer than Haskins. So
we don't want Jonathan Hankins taking snaps.
Pardon me?
I don't think we want Jonathan Hankins taking snaps unless we're going to run some kind of jungle goal line package.
Yeah, I believe that Haskins is just, if you just want a guy to stand back there and throw the ball, Haskins is our guy. So we'll see just how much in charge of the offense Wilson is by who wins that battle. And we should have that battle as long as possible, at least through spring. Try to take it into fall next year. And that would, you got a better chance of hanging on to both of them for as long as possible.
I think you bring up a great point there, in that this season, in a lot of ways, is going to be an education process for us on Kevin Wilson, his scheme, and, like you said, how much power he actually has. If you look at the guys he's had the most success with, the Sam Bradford type, I was just thinking, if you were to compare Dwayne Haskins to Sam Bradford is actually a pretty good comparison. Kind of a taller guy, good athlete, but arm talent first. It's ironic that that's the guy he had a tremendous amount of success with, won a Heisman under Wilson. So maybe it was also the fact that, if you look at the guys in Indiana, the Richard Ligos and Nate Sudfelds of the world, that's more of a Haskins type. Excuse me. However, at Indiana, I don't think he was recruiting out of a position of strength, so he may have wanted to go a different way but couldn't and had to do it that way. At Ohio State, he's going to get to pick and choose, and he's got pretty much every flavor in there of types of quarterbacks. So that definitely will be super interesting. to follow. Speaking of super interesting, and this is kind of more just us wallowing in our greatness, 2 more black stripes have come off since we last spoke. Haskell Garrett and Jeffrey Okuda. I was saying before the show, if you would have asked me to predict the 5 guys to get their black stripe off first, I could have gotten them all right. So now you've got J.K. Dobbins, Chase Young, Isaiah Pryor, and the 2 defensive players we just mentioned, Garrett and Okuda. I know this is kind of us just stating the obvious, but it does seem like the guys they needed to come in and play well right away have done so, and that's very encouraging.
Well, you look at these guys, through the recruiting process, we saw guys that were mature. They were focused. These were guys who really had it in mind. They want to play at the next level, the NFL level, and that they have to be workers and they have to take every rep seriously in practice like they're going to play. And that's what we've seen out of these guys. So it wasn't a real surprise. Like you said, it was, I don't know if I'd got them all 5, but I bet I could have got pretty close picking the guys that were going to have that black stripe taken off.
Couldn't agree with you more. I really think, even though I talk about it all the time and we discuss it, cannot put enough stock into how the NFL draft has impacted the spike in recruiting. Every single guy who comes to Ohio State early thinks he's a first-round draft pick or close. The fact that you can show people that's going to take place, and then they've just been able to turn it over, it's been so impressive. I don't think this year's going to be any different. Guys who entered here, without tremendous amount of fanfare, your Draymond Joneses of the world are projected to be first-round draft picks. I fully expect Jerome Baker to be a first-round draft pick and have since I saw him as a junior in high school at Benedictine. So they're cruising. These guys look fantastic. We predicted in the boarding house that Haskell Garrett would be the next one to get his off. We were wrong. It was Okuda, but it was only off by a few minutes. The future is very bright. One thing about all these guys that has impressed me, obviously they have the talent, but everything we get back, like you said, is from a maturity standpoint, they're a step ahead. So it's excellent. Obviously, and I talk about this a lot, not surprising that 2 of them come from big Texas programs. One comes from a huge East Coast program. One was at IMG and one was at Bishop Gorman. So these guys came in ready to play, well-trained, smart kids, and great athletes. We're going to finish here by biting off a little bit of the Steve Hellwagon chat. He answered this question as well, but it was such a good question and interesting enough for Duane, I thought I'd pose it. Who will have a bigger impact on the defensive line this year, Jalen Holmes or Nick Bosa?
I'm going to say it depends on who's on the field more. We don't know who's going to be playing more. I think if both of them have the same number of reps, I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say Bosa. He didn't get as many reps last year, but he had such an impact. So, he wasn't on the field as much as Holmes, and he flashed. He was involved. You saw a guy that looks like he's going to be special. I think I have to go with Bosa. And I'm a big Jalen Holmes fan. I think he's going to be an NFL player, and that just shows how deep the squad is. That a guy that's a backup, I think there's an argument he should be a starter, but a guy who's a backup is going to get drafted in the NFL. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is the year Bosa becomes a star, like a superstar, like in the discussion for one of the best defensive players up front in the United States. And I'm sorry, I still base some of this off the fact that his brother is so freaking good. I'm telling you, if you have NFL Network or any chance to watch NFL football, you need to watch every Chargers game. This Bosa is Joey is so much better than I thought he'd be. He literally gets to the quarterback on almost every single play. And in preseason, he's torturing dudes. So I would encourage you to watch that. But I go back to the fact that the Aquinas High School coach said Nick was better. Nick's kind of been, he didn't start. He didn't come in with maybe the injury kind of set back the fanfare, but I think Nick Bosa emerges as arguably the best player on the defense this year. That's how good I think he's going to be. So that's a way to get your Tuesday done with some hyperbole there, people. Keep it locked into Bucknuts. We've got the best coverage you can get anywhere. Have a good one, Bucknutters.